The night everything cracked open began with a silence so heavy it felt louder than any scream. Rain pressed against the windows of a small apartment in Columbus, Ohio, and the city lights blurred like memories that refused to stay sharp. My best friend sat on the floor with her back against the couch, arms wrapped around herself as if she were trying to keep the world from leaking out. Her eyes were swollen from crying, her phone dark in her hand, and the weight of what she had just realized hung between us like a storm cloud that would not move. If this story already stirs something inside you, if you believe in kindness, loyalty, and second chances, take a moment right now to like this video, comment, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that feel alone. Her name was Grace Miller, and she had been my best friend since college. Back when life felt like an open road instead of a series of locked doors. We met in a crowded lecture hall at Ohio State University, both pretending we understood what the professor was saying while secretly trying to survive adulthood. Grace was the kind of person who laughed with her whole body, who believed people were mostly good even when they proved her wrong. I was the cautious one, the observer, the friend who noticed when her smile faded just a little too quickly. For years we balanced each other, and I thought nothing could break that rhythm. The man who changed everything was named Andrew Collins, a software engineer she met after graduation. They moved to Columbus together, chasing stable jobs and the promise of building something lasting. At first, Andrew seemed solid and dependable, the kind of person who planned ahead and spoke carefully. Grace loved him deeply, and I loved her enough to trust her judgment. But slowly, almost invisibly, things began to shift. Andrew grew distant, spending longer hours at work, answering questions with half sentences, retreating into a quiet that felt deliberate. Grace tried to bridge the gap by being more understanding, more patient, more invisible, as if shrinking herself might make room for him to come back. The night she showed up at my door, something in her had finally fractured. She had driven across town without music, without thinking, guided only by the instinct that told her she could still be safe somewhere. As she sat there on the floor, the truth spilled out in broken pieces. Andrew had stopped sharing his days, stopped asking about hers, stopped letting her in. He had built walls so high that even love could not climb them. Grace felt abandoned while still technically together, alone in a relationship that no longer made space for her heart. Watching her struggle was like watching someone drown in slow motion. I made her tea she barely touched and wrapped a blanket around her shoulders she did not seem to feel. Inside, I was fighting my own fear, the fear that I would say the wrong thing or fail her when she needed me most. I had always believed friendship was about shared laughter and memories, but that night taught me it was also about endurance. It was about staying when it would be easier to step back, about holding space for pain that was not your own. Days turned into weeks, and Grace stayed with me in my apartment near German Village. Mornings were quiet, filled with the hum of traffic and the smell of burnt toast. She went through the motions of work, coming home exhausted not from tasks but from pretending she was fine. Andrew barely reached out, and when he did, it was shallow and confusing, offering just enough hope to keep her from fully letting go. Grace blamed herself, wondering what she had done wrong, replaying moments as if answers might suddenly appear. I saw the toll it was taking on her. The way she flinched at notifications, the way she apologized for existing, the way her laughter became rare and fragile. One evening, as we walked along the Scioto Mile, the city skyline glowing against the dark water, I realized how close she was to losing herself completely. Friendship in that moment felt like a promise I could not break. I did not have the power to fix her relationship or erase her pain, but I had the power to remain present, to be a constant when everything else felt uncertain. Grace eventually decided to confront the truth she had been avoiding. She returned to the apartment she once shared with Andrew, not with anger but with a quiet resolve. The conversation they had changed everything, though not in the way she had hoped. Andrew admitted he no longer knew how to be emotionally available, that he had chosen distance instead of honesty. There was no dramatic explosion, no sudden reconciliation, just the slow realization that love cannot survive behind locked doors. When Grace came back to my place that night, she looked hollow but lighter, as if naming the truth had released some of its grip. Healing did not happen all at once. There were setbacks, tears, and moments when she questioned her worth, but something inside her had shifted. She began therapy, started running in the mornings, and rediscovered the parts of herself she had abandoned to keep someone else comfortable. I stayed beside her through every step, reminding her through actions that she mattered, that she was seen. Months passed, and Columbus changed with the seasons. Leaves fell, snow softened the city, and spring eventually returned. Grace's laughter came back too, not all at once, but in real, unforced moments. She painted again, filled sketchbooks with color, and talked about the future without fear in her voice. Watching her rebuild was one of the most humbling experiences of my life. It taught me that love does not always look like romance. Sometimes it looks like sitting on the floor with someone while they cry, like choosing not to leave even when things are messy and uncomfortable. If this story is touching your heart right now, if it reminds you of someone who stayed for you or someone you wish you had stayed for, please take a moment to like, share, and engage with this video. Your interaction tells us these stories matter and helps them reach others who need to hear them. Just before we reach the end, I have a special request for you. Please comment below and tell us about a time someone stood by you when you felt shut out, or a time you chose to stay for someone else. Your words might be the encouragement another viewer is searching for. Grace never went back to Andrew, but she did not let the experience harden her heart. Instead, it refined her understanding of what real connection looks like. As for me, I learned that promises made in quiet moments can be the strongest ones of all. Friendship is not about grand gestures or perfect words. It is about presence, consistency, and the courage to say through actions that someone will never be too much or too broken to be loved. The rain eventually stopped that night long ago, and the city lights came back into focus. Grace is stronger now, not because she avoided pain, but because she walked through it with someone who refused to abandon her. And in a world where so many people feel unseen, sometimes the most powerful thing you can offer is the simple, unwavering truth that you will never shut them out.